Jim Burton. Tony Morris is on his way, and Pamela's here. Public input up to 3 minutes per citizen to discuss any items that is within the committee's jurisdiction and that is not already on the agenda. Any public comment?
That's unusual.
Yeah, you get way too easy.
That's unusual. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can't approve the minutes, right?
We'll wait until.
Wait for Tony. We'll jump over. We're going to change the schedule a little bit here until Tony gets here.
Mike Pearson. One of them. Get one of them first.
Can you hear it now? Okay. All right, we'll get into our guest speaker, Raymond.
Yeah. And you will need to address on that microphone at the podium.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Raymond's the Lake County Public Defender, newly appointed by the County of Lake Board of Supervisors on September 19th. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. So, good afternoon, everybody. I want to first give you a little bit of introduction of who I am. Then I'm going to talk just a little bit about what my plan is, what I'm going to do, and then in the end, I'm going to have an ask for all of you. So my name is Ray Buenaventura, and I was just appointed as the Public Defender of Lake County. I just got appointed in October. October 16th was my starting date. And so I have been appointed to be the Public Defender for the entire county, and I'll get into explaining all that in a minute. But first, I thought it would be helpful perhaps to just talk to you about why it is important to have a really good, a premier public defense system, particularly here in Lake County. So maybe I could start with a typical arrest scenario. Okay. So first of all, if you get arrested for a crime, felony, misdemeanor, whatever, the Constitution says that you have an absolute right to an attorney. Okay? And so the way it's going to work is one of two ways. You're either going to hire your own lawyer and go to court with them, or if you can't afford your own lawyer, one will be appointed for you when you are at court, when you make your first appearance in court. So that's the way the structure works in terms of the criminal justice system. Okay. Now, the majority of the cases, of the criminal cases, are with people who cannot afford an attorney, who are indigent, who are poor. That's the way it is. Okay. And so what has to happen is they have to have an attorney. That's their constitutional right. And so it varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction as to how that process comes about. Okay. Some places, like Lake County, have a group of contract lawyers who the county engages with to provide the legal representation of people needing lawyers for their criminal case. And so that's what's being done in this county. They're called the LID attorneys, stands for Lake Indigent Defense Program. And so there are about 8 to 10 LID attorneys in your county. And when a criminal defendant comes up for the arraignment, or their first appearance in court, one of them gets appointed to represent that person. That's the way it works. The problem has been, there has been a series of complaints over years over the representation that has been given to our people here in Lake County. And there was actually a report that was generated through an investigation and found that things needed to change. The defendants were not getting proper representation. And so your Board of Supervisors thought it was necessary to change things, all right? And to change things in a more holistic approach, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Most counties have a public defender's office. Certainly, the more bigger counties have a public defender's office. Some counties have this system that you have here, which is the Lake County system, which is the private contracting of the representation. So now, Lake County, through the action of the board, has decided to set up a statutory public defender's office. And what that means is it will be a fully operational office with a full staff, with attorneys who will be known as deputy public defenders, we will have investigators, we will have social workers, we will have paralegals, and whatever else we need as a full staff to make this the best and premier system that we can make it. Okay. Now, let me talk to you about this idea of a more holistic approach. Okay. One of the reasons why your Board of Supervisors wanted that approach was because of their understanding of the reality of what happens in a criminal case. I'll give you an example, okay? Someone gets arrested, right? Their biggest concern, obviously, is that criminal charge, okay? And so that's a given. Whatever the charge is, that is the primary duty of the attorney, of the defense attorney, to represent his client and to defend his or her client, okay? But here's the reality. What happens when someone gets arrested and gets thrown in jail? That sets off a series of things that make it worse, okay? And I'm going to talk to you about things like when a person gets arrested, what happens to their job? They lose it. What happens to their vehicle? Probably gets impounded, or they lose that too. What happens to their housing? Well, they're not going to be able to pay, so they might lose that too. What happens to the family? The family starts to destruct because the loss of a partner and the loss of a parent. And so that has a devastating effect. What happens to their credit, right? They don't pay their bills, their credit goes down the hill, they maybe go bankruptcy. And what does that do in terms of their future to get themselves back on their feet? That goes down as well. So a series of things happen beyond their criminal case that makes it necessary to address them. And that's what a public defender's office will do, provide a more holistic approach. Because my clients, they will come to me and ask me for more than just, hey man, what's going to happen on my criminal case? They're going to want to know, what can I do about my housing situation? Or the immigration consequences of what's happening to me? Or my job? Or what can I do about my mental health? Because you're in custody, your mental health is going to go down. And so this holistic approach is what my office is going to be implementing, because we are going to go beyond the criminal case. Rest assured, my lawyers will fight like hell to represent our clients, but we're going to go above and beyond just their criminal case to make sure that they don't recidivate, and that is the bottom line. Because studies have shown that if you address these issues, concurrently at the same time and put as much emphasis on what their future could look like, that recidivism rate will go down. And that impacts the community, and that makes it a safer and better place for everyone. So that is going to be my goal as your public defender. But I'm here because I need your help. I cannot do this alone. I need the community's help in getting these things done. There are programs, projects that I am going to be putting forward, but they are entirely dependent on the community accepting them and the community participating in them. And that's what I need your help for. I'll give you an example. One of the detrimental things to a criminal case is the impact on a person's record. That record of conviction will haunt people. It will impact their ability to get a job, to get housing, to get a promotion, sometimes even to go to school. And so clearing someone's record is something that I want to ensure we do for as many people as we can. Aside from that, there are other programs that we can develop that will result in no record being taken at all. These are things like diversionary programs. One program I'm particularly interested in this county is called a restorative justice program. And what a restorative justice program is taking the case out of the courts and into the community. One example is this. Let's say you have a fella, who commits a vandalism on someone's property. Why can't the community be the one to solve that problem? Solving it meaning, all right, we're going to decide what happened, whether or not you committed the vandalism. And not only that, we're going to decide what resolution should it be. Notice I'm not calling it punishment, nor am I calling it a conviction. That's a different approach. Labels mean a lot, and by not using them, you put yourself in a different place. So the vandalism case, why not the community and the victim of who's been vandalized come together with that person and say, hey, look, this is what you did. Look what kind of effect it had on that victim. And here's the resolution to it. You're not only going to restore what you vandalized yourself by painting over it, fixing it up, mowing 20 lawns in a month. It results in a more impactful and community-based resolution. Okay? Another ask that I'm having is that when people get arrested, okay, when they are thrown in jail, there is a gap in time that needs to be addressed and needs to be used properly before they go to court. You get arrested, there's at least 3 days that go by until you go see a judge. During that 3 days, I need help because I need immediate action as to helping that, because studies have shown that the longer you keep someone in jail, the more likely they are to recidivate because of all those consequences I talked to you about. So I'm looking for a team of people to help me, whether it's contacting the family of that person who got arrested, whether it's helping them restore their benefits, whether it's helping them get their car back, or whether it's just letting the family know what's going on with the case. We need this kind of community support so that we can increase the chances of people not recidiving and increase the chances of success for our people. So that's my ask. It's a tough task ahead, but I know we can get there. I've met a lot of good people. I've met with the DA, all the judges, the chiefs of police, the sheriff, the superintendent. I've been on the radio, I've written editorials, all in an effort to reach out to the community because I truly believe you all can make a difference, and I sure hope you'll help me. If you are interested in becoming, I don't know, a helper, a warrior, whatever you want to call it, I sure could use your help. And so just go on the county website, look at the public defender's website, although it's in just sort of construction now, and maybe give me a call. Because I also am not the only one that owns the marketplace of ideas. I know that your ideas will be valuable to me because you are the community. And so I could use help in what your ideas are and bouncing things off you, thinking what you think may be the best for your community. And I think hopefully together we can really change things and make it better. So that's my ask, everybody. I appreciate your time and thank you for having me. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Does she have to go to the podium?
Where are we getting all this money for your office, your team?
That's a good idea. So right now, my team, my office is just one. It's just me, okay? And the reason for that is we haven't developed a budget yet. And we haven't developed the resources that's needed to put together my team. We are in the process of developing that because we're reaching out to people or entities like the state because we believe that the state should be responsible for providing the funding of a public defender's office in rural counties. And that's actually what's on the agenda right now, and that's what we hope to get proper funding. Yes, sir.
I couldn't hear your question. Hold on, I'm gonna give him a microphone. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Test.
Who provides the funding for the attorneys that you hire as contracted attorneys today?
So the attorneys are hired by the Board of Supervisors. So the Board of Supervisors at the county contracts with
That's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
I'm asking where does their funding come from?
from the general fund. Yes, sir.
So, let me bring the microphone. Okay, yeah, thank you. No worries. I don't mind being the moderator. So I understand that you draw it from the, yeah, it's on, go ahead. That you draw money from the general fund. Have they done any studies on how much is spent from the general fund on attorneys? And is there a set limit on the private contractors? If you have to hire someone for a murder case, they want a lot more money, right? Than would be a public defender making X amount?
Yeah,
Would
so-
that be accurate to say?
What I would say is the contract that the lit attorneys have with the county provides for if there are circumstances such like a murder case that is newly filed that requires more resources, they can adjust their contract and give them more money for that representation. Yeah,
I also had another question.
okay.
You mean the state doesn't provide the county money for any types of these programs?
That's correct. So I will just tell you though, right now, there is funding for certain kinds of cases that the state does provide for. So one example is these cases called, the category is resentencing. So there are laws that have come out that have put certain cases that are eligible for resentencing. That amount has been given to the county for the lawyers to use on resentencing cases. But other than that, in terms of funding the legal representation of indigent defense people with the county, that's all county money.
I have another question.
Sure.
So, you talked about people with convictions there, and I couldn't help but wonder, the county doesn't have anything for people, say, like, that were sentenced to marijuana stuff 20 years ago, and then they're trying to get that off their record. There's nowhere here they can do that, right? Or is that going to become possible here?
That is definitely going to become possible with the public defender's office. In fact, you're talking about things like expungement,
Right.
things like that. I am going to be instituting, and I've already started, providing expungements for people of Lake County. And so it's a very relatively easy process. And so I'm actually going to be doing a podcast on it. And I'm actually going to be going out with probation when they do their mobile units to reach out to the homeless population. I will be there at the same time to process their expungements. And that's an example of the collaboration that I think your county is really good and known for. And I've reached out to probation and have discussed that, and we've agreed to collaborate on that. So that's a great example of what I think should be done, which is clearing your record and expungements.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Over there.
Yes, sir.
You're talking about having the community help people that do things wrong, like vandalism and stuff. How's that possible when you don't have an officer that comes out for 3-4 days or something? I mean, you don't have enough people to go around and help. I just moved here from Clear Lake Oaks. That's why I came here, so I can talk to people.
Yeah.
You have no one here in this county to help you. It sounds like you're just making more jobs for the people that were businesses when we need more people on the street.
Unfortunately, that's not my area in terms of the policing part.
But who's like, what's the community supposed to do? I mean, like, if someone comes and vandalizes my house and I deal with it, I'm gonna get in trouble.
No. Oh, let me back up.
Okay.
You should call the police, right?
And do what? Wait?
No.
Because yesterday someone stole the trailer out of my neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
It took them 4 hours to get there.
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is, the normal course of how policing is done, I'm not touching, because that's not my area. So you call the police, however they do it, and they arrest someone. Once it gets to the courts, that's where I'm going to try to step in on these sort of lower level cases, and I'm going to say, hey, look, does this really have to go through the court system, or can we do some kind of diversionary program to get it out of there? That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll pick and choose the cases because it's.
It can't be every case, that's correct.
Right, it can't be every case.
No.
And I mean, I don't know where you get your statistics from, but the people who keep offending are the ones who want to offend.
Okay.
No program you come up with is going to stop that.
But I cannot stop trying. Yes, ma'am.
Thomas is going to get his steps.
Just a quick one. When you said the Constitution of the United States,
Yes, ma'am.
your office is working under it, or is it the Constitution of the United States Incorporation?
It's the Constitution of the United States.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Let's go back to your scenario. So we know somebody had a felony, right? He vandalizes a house. I think I'm getting back to your point, right? So you want us to go and have a mediation with this person. You want the community, right? We have 830 homes in the Clear Lake Oaks area. We got vandalized quite a bit in that area. So we might know who this person is, but he has a felony, right? You want us to go talk to him, mediate with him, kumbaya, get together, have dinner. How do we handle that? The guy's got a felony, and he's right, the cops won't do anything. So what's your scenario? How do we go talk to these people?
So that's, first of all, it's not every case, right? It has to be those cases where we think that it has to be vetted, and it has those cases where we think we can have an impact. If it might not be your scenario, okay? But if it is, we're going to have a structure in place for this to even work. You, if you're the victim, has to be willing to want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then it doesn't happen, because that's the whole point of the community buy-in, all right? And then we will have a structure in place where there's going to be designated members of the community who will decide, and we're going to have a process of how that decision is made, a process of how the discussion is made, a process of how what alternatives are being given in terms of resolution. I'm not going to make it up. It's the community that's going to make it up. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to impose my will on what I think it should be. It's going to be whatever the community decides after we have, I think, some good, really robust, insightful, and meaningful discussions.
Has this worked anywhere?
Yes. Yes, I've actually created a similar model in Santa Clara County, and I'm actually thinking about modeling it somehow to this county, but a little bit different, because every county is different. Yes, sir.
When did you, oh, I'm sorry.
So I don't really know the history of what they've done in terms of their projects, but I'm not, so let me just make, I'm not trying to get anybody, let anybody off. I'm just trying to find a different way to hold them accountable. That's what I'm trying to do. And if it won't, I don't think you'll see a scenario where it will be the same people over and over again. I think it will be, it's just, like I said, it's going to be a start, a different way of doing things. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we don't have to do it.
What's the consequences if you create a crime
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to let them out? What's the repercussion? You know, consequences, like you said before, you might lose your car, you might lose your house, your job. Those are consequences. So if you do the wrong thing, you know, it's going to cost you. And people, they're not learning by you letting them out all the time. And I don't know how it's going to work. We got people on the keys, stealing cars, breaking into homes.
Let me pause you right there, sir. So in order to do these meetings so that they're public access, we really have to raise our hand. We have to take turns using the microphone. We need functionality in our meetings. So it's very important that, you know, we're transparent and we use the microphones.
Getting back to my point, the consequences is you might lose your job, you might lose your house, you might go to jail, so don't do the crime. And if you keep letting people out, like we've been seeing, they'll never learn. You got shoplifters in San Francisco going up to $999, nothing's being done. And I'm afraid that could happen here. So.
I guess what I'm saying is, if you accept the fact that the more holistic model hasn't been tried, then maybe one of the reasons why it hasn't changed is because not concentrating on those other areas that I spoke about may be one of the reasons why people recidivate, okay? But I think it's worth a try to try to tackle all these other things to see if it will make a difference. That's what I'm saying. Yes, sir.
It's me again. Just so you know where I come from, I am a felon. I did 6 years straight time because I took an ounce of pot from a drug dealer. So I went to jail for 6 years. Before that, I worked my entire life. Now, I'm working again, came straight from work here. But taking someone that vandalizes his house and putting them in the same room is absolutely about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because you're going to get some criminal that's going to know where he lives, what he looks like, what he drives. And now they're pissed off because this dude ratted them out. I don't care what you say or what you come up with. I don't know what neighborhood you live in, but I live in the Oaks, and I have had a knife pulled on me 3 times already by a dude named Pork Chop. And everyone knows him probably. And what do the cops say? Let us find his dead body in the lake and we'll just fish it out. That's what they told me 2 times already.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, you have another one right here.
Well, first of all, thank you for your time today and presenting an idea to the community for discussion. It's
Yeah.
the strength of a democracy. I have reservations about your ideas, however. One is, it sounds like it's more experimental, that you're coming from Santa Clara and coming into a smaller rural community with an idea. You're citing research, but the research you're citing, I'm not clear about your outcomes and if it's a comparable design of what you've done. So I'm not really clear on your outcomes. The second thing, so you're citing research, but your outcomes are unclear to me. The third thing is that this gentleman mentioned from his own personal experience and his concern about the community, and he's done his time, and I always think it's important people have new opportunity if they've done their time and they're sincere. So with that said, I think there's a valid point there. And I think one of the things we need to think about is if you're going to pull in the emotional supports from the community, because you're asking people to put their emotional support out there. Well, last time I checked, this isn't a Quaker community. This isn't, you know, it's a different, diverse community here. You might get that from a Quaker model of thinking. But there is this point about a consequence that's very important. What you might want to consider is leveraging, because of the budgetary concerns this community might have, is leveraging, and if you want to do study, get some expert consult with your study outcomes. But there's a free 10-day silent retreat that is offered called Vipassana. And I wouldn't suggest felons go there, but have you seen the documentary on this method that's done in jail settings? So you have the structure and the containment, not this happy, you know, let's meet the neighbor kind of thing. You got the structure, which seems to beg, the behavior seems to beg the structure. And have you thought about using this method based upon the documentary film Doing Time, Doing Vipassana? And the reason I ask that is because I think you'd find some valuable recidivism rates to look at there, coupled with your assessment paradigm with a trained social worker or someone trained with identifying key recidivism variables like homelessness or lack of job, and based upon their sincerity, they should, I think the ball needs to go back in their ball court. Yeah, I don't necessarily think we should be playing a game with this. And it should be put back onto them about where they're at in terms of their sincerity about wanting to be integrated into a community. Then you might want to come back and ask us how we can support. But until then, I think there's a lot of testing going on here in the behavior, and I don't want to have my emotional life, my physical life misunderstood, manipulated by somebody I don't know. Quite frankly, I wouldn't know unless I was provoked into knowing this person. I think it's not well thought out. So if if there might be a structure of a method that deals with Vipassana training, which teaches people in jail to consider their greed impulse, their aversion impulse, how they hate, they might have a lot of ill will, for example, and then their ignorance about their greed and their ignorance about their hate. That's a place to start in the structure of containing these impulses, and then look at those outcomes with the help of social work. Might help give us leverage and do this in a less expensive way. This method has been around for over 2,000 years, and normal people without felony stuff that don't have a big crime rate, they can actually go over here in without having any problem with past convictions. They can do a 10-day free retreat and learn these lifelong skills of how to deal with these basic impulses that can get a lot of us in trouble unless we're taking moral responsibility and consequential responsibility for these impulses. And it just peeves me that these really simple, basic things are not being integrated and repeated because they're truthful unless proven otherwise. And I think that, a social scientist by training, until proven otherwise, you repeat these. One day maybe they'll get a sense that, hey, maybe I'm making some mistakes here, and that program actually could help me. And then maybe they'll see some progress in their life. Then maybe the community will have the nurturant functions to support that. Until then, to me, it's a test. It's a really unconscious begging test. How much can you put up with here? And quite frankly, I'm hitting some limits, and our political stance these days in America not looking good. So I'd like to not keep pushing my neighbors like that if we have differences, but I want to start with myself and then have these conversations. But I agree with this gentleman that you might be looking for some unintentional consequences.
Okay, we're going to have to move on here.
I would just like to say I fully support you and what you've been saying. I understand what everyone else has been saying, and I love you brought up the Amish because they have super low crime because they have lived their lives without a conflict and resolving conflicts. And I think that's what he's getting at, saying here. And, a path is the path that people take. It's no test. Everyone's at a test of what path they take. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Are you going to stick around for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You can answer some questions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'll be right here.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the minutes of November 1st.
I motion to approve the meeting. Sorry, I don't have a voice.
I'll second that.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Spring Valley update, Spring Valley recovery. Cindy, you got anything?
My Christmas lights are up. If you live in Spring Valley, you know what that means.
The Spring Valley Lake Recovery. Question whether or not Scott Hornig was going to be from special districts addressing the lake recovery in Spring Valley to residents at your community center?
Yes. Last I heard.
Oh, you got both of these together.
It's really, yeah.
I'm Cindy Storrs. I live in Spring Valley, and I'm on the Community Service Advisory Board. The Lake Recovery Project is due to kick off in terms of something tangible, in terms of groundbreaking at the end of January. Pam and I have had some conversation. I made a request at this last meeting that the board invite someone from special districts who's in charge, who's the project manager, to come and meet with us. I think the resolution is going to be that he will, this board meeting will be invited to happen in Spring Valley when he's doing his next presentation about the lake recovery project. And I don't know if that date's been set.
Hopefully, he will be in contact with you. That was my understanding. And because it only applies particularly to the Spring Valley residents, he wanted to gather as many of the Spring Valley residents and make it easier for them to attend the meeting by holding it there in Spring Valley.
Right, and the CSA does not meet in December, so it won't happen before January or February.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you more about the project if you want to know, but, and I think I think actually it impacts more than just the Spring Valley community, because the lake bed recovery project will deepen the first cell. The lake will be divided into cells, and the cell closest to the dam will be the deepest cell, and that will be a helicopter dipping zone. So that has impact way beyond Spring Valley in terms of fire, particularly.
I suppose they'd probably be able to fill up their engines and stuff there too, be faster if there's fires out there. And
That's
seems like a fair amount of fires start in Spring Valley, so,
it's a question for the chief, but
yeah.
All right, thank you, Cindy. Tony, you got anything?
No, not really, yeah. No, not really.
Nothing?
Just, no.
Okay,
We're doing good.
yeah, we're doing all right.
It's winter and
All right, we have the
marijuana grows
shoreline
on.
area plan update, the update on the Claus Park update, and the commercial cannabis report. Pam?
Okay, the first one, and I'm reading this on behalf of Holly Harris, who couldn't be here tonight. And these are actual communication with Maria Turner, the Community Development Department, about the shoreline area plan and the update that it needs and will be occurring. The Shoreline Communities Area Plan is a guide for long-term growth and development in the planning area covering Lucerne, Clear Lake Oaks, Glen Haven, Spring Valley, and county areas down to Clear Lake. The plan addresses natural resources, public safety, community development, services, and land use regarding future development. The Shoreline Communities Planning Area is one of the 8 designated planning areas in Lake County General Plan, and it was published in 2007, obviously in need of update. The county has hired a consultant to update the general plan and in all area plans concurrently. CDD, our Community Development Department, is meeting with them weekly, and they are currently in data gathering phase. Plans are to have 3 community meetings in each region to discuss the plan. These are tentatively scheduled to begin spring 2024 with the draft plan available in the summer of 2025. And they have a chart with a proposed timeline attached. I believe we requested, and I don't know if it has occurred yet, that our Supervisor Crandall post the existing shoreline area plan on the E.A.R.T.H Facebook page so everyone can look at it. Obviously, the meetings that they're going to be holding in each community in that area, we will advise you when we hear, because we will obviously need public input on these.
Okay.
Any questions?
The park, any update?
Anyone who doesn't already know, the John T. Kloss passed away, and he donated 620 acres between the Rock Quarry and the Moose Lodge, and roughly, and don't quote me, $1.2 million in funds. This is to create a park, and it's a beautiful piece of property. It needs a lot of cleanup. There's dangerous buildings that need to be removed that are falling down. There's been a new gate installed in the front to secure it, and a parking area will have to be developed, and then a plan. And there is a committee, I'm on it, and there's a few other people that are here that are on the committee, steering committee for what's going to happen with the park. And any questions? Yes.
Want it to be in his will for the spending, is there for adolescent part of that? Is that for youth in the area too? And the second question is, I see there's horses and animals, equine, which could be a great vocational thing for youth to learn more about. Can you answer one of those two questions?
I have not seen the actual documents myself. All we've had is a tour of the property. And so it'll be the steering committee and public input that will guide. But yes, my understanding is that Mr. Kloss did want activities to available to the youth. Okay.
There's someone taking care of the animals, right? Still.
I believe the animals that are on there belong to the property as you face it to the right. That does not, there are no animals that are the responsibility of that property. I think they're just grazing on there.
They're
That's my
just grazing
understanding.
in there for right now. The gentleman owns the ranch next door over here, where you see all the horses and stuff.
Yeah.
He's just grazing them in there with permission from the county for now.
Oh, yeah, because I saw them on the way here, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, taking care of them.
Yeah, and part of that land that he donated is gonna be a preserve for animals. So in the backside, he had it pretty well laid out.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Commercial cannabis report, these are the legal, applied, not the illegal cannabis, we'll clarify. I will give a quick brief update on those. There are currently 19 projects that fall within the area of this East Region Town Hall. 6 have been approved, and 1 new application's been received, proposed 6 acres of outdoor cannabis at 10535 High Valley Road. Others are in various phases of application. Any questions?
Okay.
All right.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, North Shore Fire. Mike, anything?
Good afternoon. I haven't been here in a while, so we are going along. First things first, we do have a flyer out here in a toy drive. Our Christmas drive is set to go off later this month, the 17th, I think, and the 22nd. I believe that down here it's the 22nd at either one of the 2 stations. Station 7.5 here in Clear Lake Oaks, and then also at the Nice Station, Station 8.5, we're going to have, we have a pretty good turnout every year for toy drive for the kids on the North Shore here. I also think that Spring Valley's doing a Christmas party this year, right? Yeah, for the kids and stuff, yeah. That's, if you feel inclined, you can deliver a toy by the stations. And we'll get it wrapped and get it out. It's a pretty good event. We probably go through, I don't know, 400 kids over the 2 nights, and it's a fun time. North Shore Fire, we're still recruiting. Continues to be a challenge to recruit to this county. Most of the staff comes from out of the area, so it's tough, but we have got a few applications here and there. I'm by far getting the most applications for the fuels crew. We're almost up to full staff again. We'll be 2 short here pretty quick, which is a good thing since at one time we were down to 3. We will have more on that. As you know, if you've read the mail, social media or things like that, we partnered with Clear Lake Environmental Research Center and received a grant for about $7.8 million over the next 5 years worth of work for that crew. We still haven't got it back from the federal government, so they can't actually start yet. It's the craziest thing. Anyway, we've been waiting on that almost 4 months now since we signed it. We're in waiting right now. We do have another big announcement coming out with the fuels crew pretty soon. Probably next month you'll hear more about that. So I'm not going to say anything more on that lines. But I think it's safe to say that the fuels crew that we've developed is here for a while now. As long as we can keep employees there and people doing the work. They're going to be around the county in the North Shore doing a lot of work. As far as the fire department side, we're starting to look at another, potentially another engine coming up. Our engines are getting a little old, so we have to start looking at that again and looking at our options for that. So that's been a challenge, but we can probably pull one more engine off over time. And like I say, biggest thing right now is the recruiting. We're having a hard time recruiting people to come to work. So unless you have some questions for me, that's about it. What's happening with North Shore?
Paramedics.
I'm sorry?
Paramedics.
Yep, paramedics, we can't find them. We're down to 3 full-time paramedics. Technically, we have 4, but one's on paternity leave, so we have 3 full-time paramedics. You probably saw it in social media that the union, on the union's page, that they put out that we're down to 1 medic across the entire district. I did that on purpose so that I knew I had at least 1 medic on every single day. So that was purposely done. Today, there's 1 medic on. He's sitting in Lucerne, and he's responding to calls from there. Rest assured, the public will always get an emergency response and a paramedic sent to their emergency. The fire chiefs have designed a response plan that it may not be a medic from North Shore Fire, but you will get the closest paramedic available at that time of the call. So we have things in place to make sure that everyone gets the appropriate resources at the call. We just can't find them any to employ. And that's about the extent of it.
Anybody else got any questions?
Spring Valley Fire Station.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that remind me. Usually, Cindy, I know she's been doing the updates on it. It's getting close. She keeps me updated out there, but I think we're getting real close. Their sheetrock's up. They were waiting on some inspections for the sheetrock before they can do texture. We should be able to start putting some engines out there in the building probably within the next month or so. So kind of excited about that. The engine that is going to go out there has been in the shop for the last month and a half, so it'll be pretty much good to go when the station's ready. With that being said, it's an unmanned station with an unmanned engine in it. So if there's people that want to volunteer, we have applications for volunteering to be volunteer firefighters, and Spring Valley especially could use some volunteers out there. Otherwise, the response comes out of Clear Lake Oaks.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Mike. Do we have Supervisor Crandall on? No. No? No. Okay.
He is
He was at a RCRC?
RCRC in
Sacramento, and he's not gonna make it back in time, so we move along. New business. Anybody got anything up for new?
Nope.
Tony, anything new? No?
No.
Anybody? Announcements?
I taped down the flyers in the back where you come in if you want to take photos of any of those flyers, so I'm not killing more trees and handing them out. There's one about the Lake County Defensible Space Program back there. If you want to take that information, it's taped down on the table. And again, what Chief Mike mentioned about the toy drive through December 13th at the Clear Lake Oaks Fire Station, and then the Santa visits where they actually hand out the toys to the children at Clear Lake Oaks on December 15th between 6 and 9, and at the Nice Fire Station on December 22nd between 6 to 9.
So I'm new to the area. Boy, I just got off work, my head's spinning. I I live in Clear Lake Oaks. I live right across the street from the fire department. I'm looking for some people to go with me every night at 7 o'clock and take over our park. I went there last night. I kicked 3 people out of the bathroom. They were shooting dope and smoking pot in the women's bathroom. The other day, I went in there to the male's bathroom. There was 2 dudes shooting dope, smoking crank. I have 2 boys. They're not allowed down there no more. 3 weeks ago, there was a van searching around the park. People took pictures of him, took video of him, and let him drive away. He was trying to kidnap kids. I didn't know I came to such a terrible place. I came from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Was there for 2 years, 4 bullet holes in my truck. Went nowhere without a gun. I'm a felon, and I would rather be caught with a gun than without one living in that state. Living here is just as bad. Nothing gets done, at least I can say for Clear Lake Oaks. And if you live in Clear Lake Oaks, you know, maybe we can hook up and meet. Some people are scared to do it. But I think it's time that we take our neighborhoods back. And, you know, if we don't have help from the cops, you know, for me to be out here and try and get help is a total flip of my lifestyle, because I live a pretty rough lifestyle. And, but I want a better place for my kids, you know, and I had no idea this place was this terrible. If I wasn't buying my home and put my money down on it, I would pack up and move. We need to do something. And just like he said, there's no officers. I've talked to 2 CHP yesterday. One looks like he's 17 years old, pimples all over his face, weighs about 90 pounds. I don't know what he's going to do. And he basically told me the same thing. We're just here to take a report. Took him 4 hours to get to my neighbor's house, and her trailer got stolen. They know who stole it. They know the guy's name, where he lives, and they have a video of him doing it. And the cops did nothing about it. I met a man over at the barn about a month ago. 6 homeless people went into his house in the Keys, took it over. They've been in his house for almost 2 months, and he had to go to court to get his house back because they had rights. That is bullcrap. Try and come take my house. You know, and it's just, I think something needs to be done. The strip mall down there, where the pizza parlor and the laundromat and all that, the girls that work at the salon down there, they all have my phone number. Because about a week and a half ago, they were scared to leave the salon. They called the cops. They never showed. They did not want to walk out in the parking lot to go to their car. That's where Pork Chop pulled the knife on me. The next day, I went to get my feet done. I was wearing flip-flops and sweats. And the dude wanted to harass the owner of the salon. So I stepped up. You know, he pulled the knife on me. He's lucky I was wearing my flip-flops. But again, a cop came out eventually and said the same thing. Hey, there's nothing we can do about it. So it's like he was saying, maybe we need the community to get together. But I'm not going to sit down and talk to these guys. There's consequences. You vandalize my house, try to do it with one hand, because that's what you're going to end up with is one hand. Burglarize my house, you won't leave. It's that simple. Yes.
On the microphone. Kathy, microphone.
Kathy Garner from the Keys in Clear Lake Oaks. We're in California.
I grew up here.
And they all have their rights. Those people who are in the house in the Keys,
they have rights.
They have rights.
So I can come to your house tonight, kick in your door, and kick you out.
Well, no, he did let them in the beginning. I think Ed knows the story.
Jeff. His name was Jeff, right? Are we talking about the same guy?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, but you know, I went to his house, walked in there, and there's a dude bigger than him living in that man's master bedroom. Do you know where he slept? In the backyard.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
didn't
no,
sleep in
I've-
his house.
I've heard the story, but
So
once-
what, I don't want to debate that, we're not here to debate that,
I'd like to-
but that's wrong. That's
Well, it
wrong to
is,
do.
but then we didn't-
Sir,
Yeah.
if I may, I would like to give you the lieutenant with the sheriff's department's phone number and contact information for you directly, because I really think that you should be sharing this information and all
Okay.
those details with
Yeah,
him,
and
please.
just so you know, I don't talk to, officers. I have a big problem with that, okay, because of my lifestyle. But I went to Clear Lake, walked in and asked them, I need to talk to the STG, Security Threat Group. Do they have one? Yes, they did. I said, here's my name and number. I'm gonna sit down and wait for them to come out, because my son goes to the new school that's opened. No one came. I sat there for 45 minutes.
Excuse me, did you go to the town of Clear Lake?
Yeah.
We're in unincorporated. There's only two cities, I know you're new in the area, the town of Clear Lake and the city of Lakeport. We are unincorporated. Everything else is unincorporated. We are under the jurisdiction of the sheriffs. And with their lack of staffing, and I think they have 30 vacancies, it's
Oh, wow,
give or
okay.
take. And again, hard to recruit, hard to retain, hard when we can't pay the salaries that are paid in the big cities, and we don't have the ability to promote those individuals to the positions they'd like. And a lot of rural communities face this
Okay.
issue as well. So, as I said, if you would, I would love you to share these details and information directly with the sheriff.
Okay, yeah, well,
But the Peer Center, it does attract all those people. Now,
right there.
There's supposed to be a
Yes.
special task force that got a special funding for 2 years in this area that delegates 2 sheriffs to patrol from there up to Lucerne and back again, and they're not supposed to be used anyplace else in the county. This is not the first time. We used to see them, I used to see them when I drive down into the Oaks, all the time, sitting on the side of the road and stuff, and I do not see them anymore. And when I asked the sheriff when he was here at a meeting, he said they were still out there. Well, I still don't see them out there, so
I've
I
never seen
believe
a
they're
sheriff.
misappropriating the money and using those sheriffs in areas that they can't fill in. And
It's something you're
I'd
gonna
like
have
to talk
take
to
up
them
with
again.
With the sheriff and to get them motivated to do
Okay,
something.
how would we go about, because like the park is supposed to have secured doors at
That's
7
under
o'clock.
special district, so Pam's got all those phone numbers
Okay,
for you.
because the doors at the park are supposed to lock automatically at 7 o'clock now. They don't, they're broken.
Okay, thank you.
Someone has, you have to tell that. How do they know that?
Okay, so
And
who do I
they-
get in touch with?
And that is a homeless, the
Okay.
homeless people can go in the Peer Center and stay all day, they have lunch and all.
Yeah, but that's,
But I've heard what happens at nighttime from the girls at the beauty
oh,
parlor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, have you talked to the boss in there?
Yeah, I was just, yeah, he was there when Porkchop pulled his knife on me. And if he didn't step in between,
We're gonna
who
have to
knows
move
what would
along
happen.
here.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
we're running out of time. All right, the next Earth meeting be Wednesday, January 3rd, 4 o'clock here. You have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Favor?
Aye.
Thank you for all showing up.
In the rain.
And if you have any questions for Raymond, he's in the back of the room back there.
What was your name?